Hi, and welcome to our video about applying to colleges and majors in creative careers in the arts. I'm Stacy Hernandez, and I own The Best You College Admissions Consulting. My website is thebestyou.net. And I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Virginia Schick, and I am the head of and the only person in Art College Prep. It's an LLC, and what I do is help kids prepare their art portfolios and applications for colleges and universities.
So what we're going to talk about is the ways that you can get ahead if you're looking at more fine visual arts careers and majors for college. So if you're a high school student wanting to apply to more creative programs, there are some important key pieces that you need to know about this process. So we're gonna dive in and talk about some of these important tips. So starting with, what are the various kind of majors you can major in college around the arts? And so our focus is more fine and visual arts. This is not about performing arts in this discussion.
Right. And I always talk about it as a creative career in the visual arts. And, a lot of people traditionally will think of it just being a fine artist. But there are so many hundreds of different kinds of majors and jobs that you can get in the arts. And I'm just going to list a few of them off here, but that's usually the first thing I do when I meet with a student and their parents is I talk about what their interests and passions are. And so you can be a fine artist or a studio artist. You can go into art teaching. You could be a painter, drawing, illustrator, and you could illustrate books. You could illustrate medical kinds of things. You could do illustration in a police department for drawing those mug shots of people that have done something bad. You can do graphic design, and there's all kinds of designing. There's game design, interactive media design, ceramics, photography, which would have journalism, travel, fine art. You could do wedding and event photography, sculpture making, and there's also a way to kind of blend all of these together. A lot of artists nowadays aren't just a sculptor or just a painter or just an illustrator. Sometimes they use a lot of technology in their art, plus actual paint in there, making 3D sculptures in installations and rooms. There's printmaking, silk screening, fabric design is a big one these days. Film and video production, there's animation, there's documentaries, there's all kinds of things with film. Commercial and advertising art, there's fashion design and everything that has to do with fashion, like shoes, or you can just design bags, or you can just design other kinds of accessory type things that you might wear on your body. Industrial design, which is all about making objects, things that are well designed and work well, and you can put them into production and have them consumed, bought by people, like a coffee maker, right?
Yeah. I even tell students of the story of like OtterBox, the company that makes the cell phone covers or whatever. That's an industrial design. Yeah.
You got it. Digital arts, there's web design, there's all kinds of things you can do with technology these days in the arts. Interior designing, architecture uses a lot of technology these days, as well as old school kinds of interior design, drawing, and architecture, landscape design. You can go on and on and on. Costume designing, if you watch the Oscars, everything that has to do with movies, music videos, set production, we could just go on and on. So there is a lot of creative careers in the visual arts out there.
And you bring up a really good point of the fact that like there's a lot of students that cross over disciplines. And I used to work at an art school, Maryland Institute College of Art, and my students were even crossing over not only art disciplines, but they were like, I'm going to minor in business, or I still love writing and English, and I'm going to minor in that, or I'm going to double major. And so a lot of times when families start to think about this career in the arts, it doesn't mean that you're stuck in one particular field, especially nowadays. Everything is merging together. Everything is so multidisciplinary, and colleges are creating majors that are more and more multidisciplinary, so students can merge a lot of interests together. and
right.
be ready for kind of the career world
Yeah.
as well.
Well, and I taught at Boulder High School for, I taught high school art for 34 years, taught at Boulder High for 10 years, Monarch High School for 10 years. And I would talk all the time with students who maybe wanted to write books, but then they also wanted to illustrate books. Or they wanted to design buildings, but they also wanted to design the furniture inside of those buildings. And so blending majors, blending business with something else, history with an art career is very, very common these years.
Mm-hmm. When I was in the career center at MICA, and when I was there, when the employers would come to recruit students, they were looking for the multidisciplinary student. They were looking for like the Simpsons people, the people who ran Simpsons. Not only were the illustrators, but also the writers. They created the whole story. So they were looking for that student that was multifaceted. So that was definitely something that is a growing piece too.
So create. That's the whole thing, is you've got to be a maker, you've got to be a thinker, you've got to be somebody who wants to just explore. And so now I want to talk about the differences between going to a university as opposed to going to an art school. Stacy was just talking about the Maryland Institute and College of Art, which is an art school. And if you were to go to an art school, you take about 2/3 of your courses in the arts, in the visual arts, and then 1/3 in other kinds of things like writing, if you were doing architecture, it would be math and engineering, but it's 2/3 art and 1/3 other things. And if you're at a university, it's flipped. It's about 1/3 in your major, in your art major, and then 2/3 more of those general education courses. And there's really, you can't judge one is better than the other. What leads me to help students is what I think is going to be a more successful experience for them that will lead to job placement and good career with a good salary at the end of the game. And so that's really what I'm looking at. And I also look at the student itself. Like if you really enjoy science and you really enjoy math and you really enjoy history and all those general education courses and you want to be more Renaissance human that way, or if you really want to, your passion is art and you really want to focus on studio and really want to focus on that career, then I usually will push you one way or the other. But I have students that go to either one and they're all happy and satisfied.
And one other thing with students who choose the art school versus the university approach is it all depends on the type of experience you want.
Right.
So if you want a full-blown art experience with just students like yourselves thriving in a creative environment, then maybe an art school is right for you. If you're looking for the football team or like the school spirit and you're looking for kind of the traditional college campus in the way we kind of interpret it in a university setting, then that may be the way you want to go. If you want to have friends that are engineers and also English majors and business majors, it really depends on the cultural fit you're looking for as well.
Yeah. And so they'll have different requirements for admission. And that's what we're going to talk about for the rest of the time, is what you can do now, whether you're in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, or 12th grade or beyond, to get you where you want to go. Okay. So you can do lots of different classes, but they're going to have a portfolio. If you are looking to get into a school that generally is an art school, they'll have an art portfolio. Most universities, they might have a portfolio for their merit scholarships, but they won't have a portfolio for admission into the school. It will be traditionally your SAT,
grades,
activities, all that, the Common App kind of stuff. Art schools would generally look at the Common App, plus they'll ask for a portfolio of your work. And, I just wanted to throw out just some ideas of what kind of money you might be making. I looked this up online. Graphic designers were starting out at about $95,000. So if you're looking at being a graphic designer, interior designers were about $90,000. Fashion designers were $75,000. Photographers were $60,000. Illustrators were $55,000. So there's good careers that are out there.
Yes. And that's the message, is that, a lot of times families are nervous about their student going into a creative career when they think like, oh my gosh, they're never going to make money.
Yeah.
But there are definitely ways, and the multidisciplinary approach can also help too.
Yeah. And, I think because our world is becoming more and more visual and more holistic as an earth and countries, I think that creative careers are one of the fastest growing in the realm of what you can do with your life in the future. And it teaches you to think in a much more creative, problem-solving way that I think our world in the 21st century is really looking for. And so it's very popular for employers to go, oh my God, you have this art major, I want you.
Yep. So we're going to dive into some admissions tips and portfolio tips. So if you're looking into going into a creative major and career, when you're going through the admissions process, these are important pieces that are going to help you in moving forward.
Right. So I'm going to kind of talk about getting your portfolio started, because that can be the scariest thing for a lot of people. And it can be like, what do they want? And that's where my expertise is really, I think, helpful for folks, because I can help you hone in on what it is you really want and what it is you really need in your portfolio. Because different schools, believe it or not, want different things, right? A different school has a different character, has a different identity, has a different focus. Some schools are really, really great for specific majors and other majors. And so they do have very different portfolio, who gets the top money and who gets the top scholarships and who gets in. And so generally speaking, start your portfolio right now. Don't wait. And make art. Make what you have a passion about, make what you believe in, and also try to think about the breadth of your work. What that means is you want to be sort of versatile and well-rounded. Doesn't mean you want to put a really nasty painting in your portfolio, but it does mean that you're going to want to have more media than just one thing. So if you generally are a photographer in the darkroom in black and white, I'm going to encourage you to delve into some different kinds of things with your photography. Maybe try color, maybe try digital, maybe try collaging, maybe try some Photoshop or some Illustrator or some Procreate, maybe try some other kinds of things to round out your portfolio, maybe make some movies. They're generally looking for between 12 and about 25 pieces of art by the time you are in your fall of your junior year.
Fall of junior year or senior year?
Sorry, senior year. Sorry, senior year.
Yeah.
I know.
Like,
Yeah. So when you're putting in your application right around, between Thanksgiving and it's kind of February for some of the art colleges.
Some even have early action, which is like
November 1st. Yeah. So you want to have your portfolio works. And so you want it to be your best. I always tell students, put your best work in. Sometimes you're not as objective as other people can be. So show it around, show it to a lot of different people. If you can find a recruiter from that school, then show it to them ahead of time. Get them excited about you, help them meet you. You want to look at also, to round out that portfolio, your extracurricular kinds of things. And for these creative careers, they're really looking at folks who can collaborate, work with others well. They're looking at people who are maybe finding an internship or someone in the community that does what they do or is somehow related to what they want to do in their dream, and maybe hang out with them or help them with something. Making art a part of your life and your lifestyle. You want to ooze this creative kind of,
absolutely.
Yeah, this creative fragrance so that they want you to be in their school and they can see that you're just so creative.
And I give examples like, hey, get your paintings at a local coffee shop.
Right.
Show your paintings at a local coffee shop. Your high school may have an art show. There may be local shows that you can publish your work in. There are a lot of online mediums now where you can show your work. Graphic designers, I work with a handful of students that do graphic design who own their own little businesses doing design for local small companies. So there's a lot of ways to do this. And they're very valid in the admissions process. Many artists feel like, I have nothing to put on my activities list because I'm not in this club at school and this club at school. Your work is your activities list. So if you're producing artwork and you do this as on this at home and in school, that's a part of your admissions process too. So that's something really important to know.
Yeah. And I'll give you just a couple of examples. This year I've been working with a student who is like a comic strip artist is one of the things that she loves to do. And so she started an online comic, and she, I think, has like 4,000 followers on this comic now. And she publishes like twice a week, maybe, or 4 times a week, quite a bit. And it's a free access, and all these people follow it. And she's just thrilled about that, number one. And her schools have been thrilled about it. And she's been getting great scholarships, and she got into all 5 of her schools. And so I encourage that. If your school has a National Art Honor Society, that's a really great thing. Scholastics is a nationally recognized art competition that happens in every state in the country, and then you compete nationally with everybody if you win a gold key there. So I always encourage students to do that, and just show your work, get it out there, and try to get some sort of recognition for it, whether that be a product. I had a student who wanted to raise money for, I think it was a women's empowering sort of nonprofit in Boulder, Colorado. And so she designed these really adorable little dancing women. And then she made all these stickers, and then she put them in some stores, and all the proceeds went to her philanthropic, and she raised, I think, $800. So those kinds of experiences are just invaluable, because they'll make you feel good, and they'll make you recognize that you are really different than everybody else out there. Artists are very unique people, and we have a lot to offer the world and offer our communities. You just have to find a way and figure out how you can do that, and how you can kind of add that in.
If the school doesn't require a portfolio, but you are an artist and you are creative, and if you are still even undecided whether you're going to apply to a major that's more in the arts, many schools still allow you to submit an arts portfolio. They call it something like an arts supplement. So I encourage you, if you are a creative person, no matter what, just be producing this work, taking pictures of this work so you can submit it to colleges.
Yeah. So that's an excellent point. You can't just make the art. You've got to take really good, high quality photographs of it. And so that's your next step, is as you make it, don't wait and put it in a big box or in a big portfolio and then pull it out when it's all smeary and old a few years later when you're a senior, but do it as you make it. When you think the piece looks the best it's ever going to look, then take a picture of it right then, and a high quality picture, not just with your phone, but try to get hold of a DSLR or
okay,
and try to take a nice high quality, high pixel, high resolution, well lit. So the best lighting is really outside in the shade on a non-windy day, because you don't want it to blow away. That's bad. And then you can crop the edges down, correct the lighting if you can, as much as you can do, and make sure that it looks just the same as the original or a little tiny bit better. Don't make it look too much better. That's what I would say about that. Summers are a really great time to build your portfolio. There are pre-college art experiences. So a lot of schools, even if you're not planning on going to that particular school, they'll have a pre-college experience. And they're usually 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think there's even a 6-week pre-college at the Rhode Island School of Design. But they're excellent opportunities, and you can do those. I've had students do them between their sophomore and junior year and their junior and senior years. And traditionally, that's when you want to do it, because you're going to be producing work, and you'll kind of find out whether or not an art school is good for you or a university is good for you, or you'll kind of feel that vibe a little bit so you can try it out. And a lot of them offer credit, which is really great too. Yeah. So the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, in Chicago, I think they have 1 week pre-colleges, and you can bump it all the way, I think, into 4 weeks. So you can take photo for one, you can take painting, figure painting for one, you can take all different kinds of movie making for one. So you can pick several different areas, and you just focus on that for a week, and then you change to another one, and then another one. And then some will have more blended, like the RISD is a 6 weeks, a 6-week program. It's the longest. And they do a lot of basic kinds of drawing and painting, traditional artwork, sculpture, and then they'll have you specialize, like in the afternoon, pick a couple of areas. So you can pick like architecture and filmmaking, and that can be your focus for those afternoons. So you get some choices for some other things to add in there.
I have students that also do the pre-college programs to get exposure to the field to see if they even want to do it.
Yeah, try
Fashion
it out.
students, architecture students. There's a lot of different programs out there for students that are like, oh, I may want to go into this field, or I may want to go into that. So they're really great opportunities to get exposure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And even if you end up not going to an art school or needing that or wanting that, I think it's a great opportunity to really immerse yourself in a college experience and understand what kind of work that you'd be doing if you were going to be going down that path, or what kind of a work college sort of entails. So you can get a little heads up on that.
Yep. And you hear a lot from me saying don't pay for college experiences, but I do say there are some exceptions. This is one of them, because you can't replicate these type of opportunities outside of these college programs. And they're really career specific and major specific, which is something that benefits a student in the admissions process. Yeah. So that's just something to mention as well.
Yeah. It's again, it's one of those really great things. I also tell kids, if you can travel, it's really great to have more of a worldly experience. Your artwork changes, the way you look at things changes, the way you think about things changes, and it really does elevate your work and you. And I would say for everybody, but I definitely notice it with visual arts majors, that there's just something about it that opens your mind, opens your heart, opens your whole world, and it's invaluable. Also, you can do internships. We talked a little bit about that.
Yep.
So finding people that are maybe doing the same sort of job that you might want to do someday, helping them out. Even just volunteering looks really great on admissions applications. So I have a student right now who wants to be an architect, and he is a junior this year. And this summer he's going to volunteer at Habitat for Humanity and build some houses. Amazing. Right? Architecture, building houses kind of goes together. He's going to understand a lot more about it, and he's going to have this this piece on his resume, on his application, that's going to look really attractive to those folks. It'll catch their attention. Yeah. And
I had a student who loved art, was going into being a more of a studio arts major, but she taught art to Spanish speaking youth, and they were early literacy, so they were starting to learn how to read. So she tied in reading, and she designed her own little summer camp for these kids, and brought in art and really brought reading through art. It was a really cool opportunity for her because she wanted to give back to her community, and so that was the way that she did it. So there are plenty of opportunities and ways to get involved with art outside of you just producing it and creating it.
Oh yeah. Anything you can think of. And if you can't think of anything, that's when you start to bring your friends in, your family in, you start looking online, trying to generate some really cool ideas, really interesting sorts of things. Maybe you like to follow a band. Well, maybe you design a t-shirt and then you silk screen it and you take it to some of the concerts and you sell them, or who knows what you can come up with.
Absolutely.
I had a student 2 years ago who loved making flowers. He just loved gardening and he liked flowers, and so he made these beautifully little crafted metal jewelry pieces, and they were gorgeous. Number one, they were fantastic gifts. He made a lot of money, so he didn't have to have a summer job. He used his art to make that job, and he ended up putting those pieces in his portfolio, and now he's going to the Maryland Institute of College of Art and wants to go on to the Rhode Island School of Design, and he's just going forward. So, you know, there's all kinds of things you can do.
Mm-hmm. So we hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about this process. We are here for you as a resource, so feel free to use us if you want some more specific advice around the portfolio process, the admissions process, how to kind of find these different particular majors and those important next steps that you need to be considering if you're going to be applying to these programs. So why don't you explain your business again?
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm going to show you this. So this is my business. It's called Art College Prep, and you can look at the website. It's artcollegeprep.net, artcollegeprep.net, and there's all kinds of information on how to get a hold of me on this. Maybe we can put my website at the beginning, and maybe
Absolutely.
a contact phone number, and you can text or phone me, and I'd be more than happy to help you out. So thank you so much.
And explain what you do so they know how you help students.
Okay, so I've helped students in lots of different ways. I'll meet with you and your parents initially, and then we make a plan. Depending on where you are in the process and what I think your work needs and looks at and what your goal is and what your dreams are, we'll make an individual plan just for you. And then what I'll do is we'll decide how we're going to meet. If we're going to meet once a week, if we're going to meet once a month, if we're going to meet every other month, if we're going to talk on the phone, if we're going to Skype, because I've done this long distance and I've done this face-to-face, so it works both ways. Sometimes I have students that want more instruction with their artwork, and so I can demonstrate and do techniques and show them how to paint, how to draw, how to do perspective drawing, how to sew, how to do photography. I taught art for 34 years in the public schools, K through 12, and so I have a lot of experience and I know how to do a lot of different things. And if I can't, I can also hook you up with people who can mentor you a little bit, who can take a look at your portfolios. I'm hooked in with the Art Knots, which is a collective group of worldwide artists of about 150 of us, and oftentimes they'll come and help out with a student. So there's all different ways, but I take you and your specific needs and guide you through the process as much or as little as you need.
So Virginia is going to help you with helping with the portfolio piece of the admissions process, all of those steps, college choices, finding the right programs for what you may want to study. And so she really is a specialist in, let's say, the arts related admissions process. So I'm Stacy Hernandez of The Best You College Admissions Consulting, thebestyou.net. My role is more general admission. So I can help you more in understanding how the process works in terms of deadlines, college choices, and making sure that you have the admissions side covered, where Virginia is really a specialist on the art side of it. But she can absolutely help with college choices and everything as well, especially within the context of the particular majors you're interested in. So thank you for your time, and we're here for you if you have questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.